So we can start from here.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. Very good evening. I have shared a link in the chat box. As I can see, it's almost 60, 70 people who have joined. Uh, Please fill the form. I'll paste the link again. It's a very short link. There will be three or four questions. Please, like, once all the answers are there, once we have sufficient responses, we'll start. This response, these answers basically are to judge what the how should I like that too. You are basically persons filling the form. You can
Hi, sir, you can start.
yes. Okay. So just to give you context, what I was expecting from this survey, here are the results or responses. Almost 40 people have given the response, and all of you are in the age group of 2021. a very small number apart from that, so that's good. Uh, Mostly 70% male, 30% females. That's what India represents. No problems there. Okay, 77% are students, which we will keep as the main focus today because uh, even though rest are pass out students, none of them are working, so I can count them under students tab. I think only one or two are working professionals, so that also is okay. Kind of English fluency that we are seeing is impeccable. All of you are good, at least holding good conversations in English, so no problem. So I can assume that all of you are at least understanding what I'm saying, even though 12% of us are not able to hold the conversation. That means you are not able to speak, but you should be able to understand. That is the bare minimum after engineering that we can expect. So no problems there. Okay, how to work on that? That we will cover in this current presentation. But this is our current demographics. All of the students are Most of the students are willing to take the action on the skills discussed today. Okay, so let's jump into our today's presentation. Okay, okay. So welcome everyone. Let's try to uh, be something what you are, and let's try to go better from where you are right now. This was a small survey so that I could understand what kind of demographic I have in this presentation today, so that I can align my presentation in the way that everybody benefits. Okay, so welcome. Let's get ready for the interviews. These are the oversimplified skills that I am planning to speak about. Okay, these are the skills that we will discuss today in this presentation. Okay, anything apart from this, if you need or if you feel like that must be discussed in this session, you can either put it in the chat box or you can directly unmute yourself and talk to us. Okay, I'm very open to all kinds of questions, and I'll be trying to answer all the questions that we receive today. Okay. Uh, to introduce myself, I am Manish. I have over 8 years of experience in chemical industry. I started off in operations. After that, I moved into technical services. Recently, I have worked on Industry 4.0, that is digitization of industries. Uh, so I can say I have varied experience, and during these 8 years, I have interacted with a lot of people in industry. I have taken a few interviews. I have observed a lot of interviews. I have seen why people get selected and why people get rejected. What kind of responses are appreciated, and what kind of behavior is usually um, sends people home and not get by not getting selected. So these all of these things were part of my job, and that is why when Chem Club approached me to give this presentation, I said yes, I'll be able to do a very good job at it, and that is why we are here today. Okay, so I have simplified the skills in two major sections. First is going to be interpersonal skills, and second is going to be technical skills. Okay, I would say interpersonal skills are way more important than your technical skills. Yes, technical skills are always important. They are going to give you edge when you are applying for jobs where you do not have direct access to the interviewer. So in that case, your technical skills come as your first impression, whereas interpersonal skills will help you to win the particular situation without a lot of technical domain expertise to present for in the initials. Okay, so both of these skills are equally important. Interpersonal skills are important to make yourself presentable, and secondly, once you are into the job, In that case, interpersonal skills are the most important skills which will actually help you to grow in your particular domain or particular um, what we can say job profile. Okay, so welcome everyone. Let's begin our presentation. So we are going to jump into interpersonal skills first. Okay, I'm going to cover speaking. So speaking are can be divided into, okay, I'm going to stick to mostly professional communication that we are going to that we are going to face in the coming times. Okay, so assume that all of these things are mostly related to your professional skills. So when we are talking about professional speaking, we can broadly classify them under four categories. Okay, first is greetings, when you meet somebody what you do. Second is introductions, when you meet somebody how do you start the communication, we also call it icebreakers. Okay, then there comes content, what do you speak, when you actually jump into a subject, any subject, be it formal or informal or casual or anything. In that case, what kind of value do you add to that conversation? Okay, that is the that comes under content. And when the discussion is about to get over, to give a good impression or make sure that the individual that you are communicating with or the panel that you are communicating with remembers you or remembers the tasks that you should have been covering through that discussion. Okay, so we will try to keep it as focused as possible. So when we are talking about speaking, and in that first category, that is greeting, when you stand in front of someone and start discussing something. So what are the right approaches compared to casual greetings? Okay, so normally when we meet friends who are with you for a long time and you know the individual. Okay, when you know the individual very well, in that case what we usually use is hi, hello, how are you, what's up, howdy, stuff like that. Okay, however, whenever you are approaching anyone I'm saying, who is not your friend, who is in your industry, always and always make sure that you come out as a professional first. Okay, so there are few greetings that you can use which go right and they do not sound inappropriate. Okay, so first should be always wish them good day. Okay, and break that day into the time of day you are in. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, these can always be used. And um these sound very professional to start with. Okay, try to inculcate a habit wishing your friends also. Okay, you're walking in the corridors of your college, while walking, start acknowledging people. Okay, we normally do by smiling, that's a very good gesture. Second, add this particular phrase, good day, good afternoon, good morning, whatever it is. Add this phase to uh, your regular behavior. I'll tell you what happens once you start doing this. Whenever you will face a professional, like the moment you get into your job place, you actually don't know anyone apart from, if luckily you have your college friends in your batch, in your selected batch. Apart from that, you don't know anybody else. And at that point, this particular habit will help you a lot. The reason is, we don't know what to speak because they are already busy, they are already working. And for you to get into their space and then get some knowledge out of that, you need to first break that ice, and the starter is wishing them good morning. Okay, so try to inculcate this habit whenever you jump into uh, whenever you are walking, when you see somebody, try saying good morning, and say that with a smile that you mean it, you mean that they should have a good morning. Okay, good morning, hello, nice to meet you, and how do you do. These are some formal greetings that you can try and inculcate in your day-to-day communications. Okay, so these are I'm deliberately putting casual type of greetings also. So avoid saying these things and start getting formal. Okay, so that is first. When you are talking about when you are speaking to anybody, first thing that comes is greeting, and greeting should sound professional, and it should come as a warm feeling. Okay, so sounding professional is by getting into that habit. And second, to feel warm, you need to basically smile immediately after you say it. Okay, don't make it look creepy, just be a bold normal smile. Okay, so that is greetings. Second is introduction. So when you are casually introducing yourself, just say, hi, I'm XYZ. I'm from let's say Nainital. There are beautiful mountains there, and you can say stuff like that. But when you are introducing yourself professionally, understand that time is of a very big value here. In when you're setting an interview, people rarely want to listen to random stuff. Okay, they want to listen to things which define you. Okay, so whenever you are talking professionally, don't jump into introducing yourself apart from professional network. Okay, try to stay into your professional game. Okay, so whenever you will introduce yourself formally, introduce yourself with the name and your work, or whatever passion do you have. If you are going for that kind of a approach, introduce yourself as what kind of passion do you have, what is your favorite chemical engineering subject, or in fact not the subject, but try to stick to even focused chapter, maybe a specific. I like mass transfer, not mass transfer as an entire subject. Go for distillation. Okay, so that is how you can introduce yourself. Hi, my name is this, and I work as this. My company is this. I am here for this. I have the previous knowledge. While doing my homework, I understood that this is the problem that you are facing. I have experience in this field where I have worked for one, two, three, four, five things, and I think this experience is very relevant to solve your problem. So can we discuss this problem? Okay, so this is how you can introduce yourself and try to stay into that focus. There are times when you can be casual. Okay, but that is not in the initial phase. Okay, so when you are introducing yourself, always try to give details which are very much more relevant to your business or your profession. Okay, and once you're out of that meeting zone, once you're out of that, and then after, when you want to build your repo with the individuals, so that these people can become your continuous business partners, or they can be part of your network for long term horizon. In that case, if you see that these people are friendly enough, then you can go into casual discussions. But normally, try to stick to your professional introductions only. Okay. Uh, so I'll just quickly read through what the types of introductions formally you can give. Okay. I'm your name and I work as XYZ at company XYZ. Okay. Hi, your name is this. I specialize in chemical engineering and particularly in distillation columns. Fine. May I introduce you? If you have somebody with you, you can use this line. May I introduce ABC to you? They are chief of research in BARC. Fine. Please meet other person's name. They are introductions. Okay, so these are um, very primary introductions that you can provide when you are talking to someone. Okay, so that is introductions for you. So first, wish, greetings. Second, introductions, keep it formal as long as you are into a formal setting. Okay, once you are out of formal settings, let's say interviews and meetings, once you are out of that, then you can become casual to build a repo. Okay. um, Particularly in the scenario when you are into sales or marketing or business profession, in that case, both of these are equally important. In most cases when we are working in an industry, formal type of discussions are always there, and uh, most of the people will stick to formal presentations only. Okay. Next would be content. So this is the major part of discussion or um speaking in general that you will have with anybody. Okay. So there are several types of content which you can meeting. Okay. It can be a meeting, it can be an interview. So whenever introductions are done, you can jump into the topics which you are there to cover. The formal name for that is agenda. Okay, in your interview the agenda is to basically facilitate your interviewers to understand your technical knowledge. Okay, or if it is an HR interview, then they want to know about you more. Okay, so when they are discussing with you, the value that you will be delivering is in the me is in the terms of knowledge that you have about the subject that you are discussing. Okay, let's touch upon what kind of content that you can deliver in communicating with anybody. Okay, so first would be informational content. Now if somebody asks you what is the value of pi, so it's 3.14. Everybody knows it's 3.14. But what is this? This is information. If somebody asks you what is the average age of India, it's 28. It's an informational content. It is not adding a lot of value. It's just information. Now, why I am saying not adding a lot of value? Because this is not your personal insight. This is just a representation of some data which is already available, and it is just being shared as an information. Okay, so that is called informational content. For example, when you will sit in an interview and an interviewer asks you, what are the subjects that you are learning right now in this current semester? So if you name five subjects at that point of time, that becomes your informational content. Okay. Uh, the next would be opinions and perspectives. Okay. Now this particular thing will be very important. Okay. Now if somebody asks you what will happen if I hold my hand in front of a steam or a jet of steam that is coming out from a cylinder which is leaked. Okay, there is a cylinder. Inside it there is let's say nitrogen at 200 degrees Celsius. There is a hole in the cylinder. The cylinder is leaking. Okay, from that hole. Now inside it, it is at 200 kg pressure and 200 degrees Celsius temperature. If it is leaking from a very small hole, and if you are holding a hand in front of it, so will my hand burn? That is the kind of question which asks for your opinions or perspectives. Okay, so the answer is no, my hand won't burn, because there is flashing happening inside in that point. Even though there is very high pressure inside, it is getting flashed to atmospheric pressure, and because of the flashing, the temperature of nitrogen is decreasing, and because of that, my hand will not burn. The possibility of cold burn is high because it is flashing at so high delta P. The chances of nitrogen cooling down below 0 degree Celsius is higher, and because of that, cold burn ka chances बढ़ जाता है. So that is opinions. Okay, so this is what you are doing. You are trying to generate some kind of insight based on the problem. Okay, and you are presenting your perspective on what could be the possible thing that can happen. Okay, so this is the second type of content, and this can also be called analytical content. Okay, so whenever you are being asked analytical questions into the interview, these are the questions that are basically selecting or rejecting your application. Okay, because they are testing you not for the informational content, they are testing you for opinions and perspectives. So opinions and perspectives are formed with experience. when you have actually worked on a system where expansion is happening, you have seen that thing happen, you know that exactly why this particular thing is happening. In that case, you can confidently deliver this answer. Okay, so that is what they are testing. Whenever you had gone to your internships in your college time, you say that yes, I went to Gale, I went to BPCL, I went to HPCL, I studied expander compressor, I studied furnaces and stuff like that. When you are saying this, what they are expecting is insights like this. Okay, what exactly is happening in furnace? What exactly is happening in expander compressor? So that is the kind of knowledge that these people are expecting out of you, and that is the second part: opinions and perspectives. Okay. Third is emotional content. So when you are talking about yourself, or you are talking about some kind of cause that you are that you are supporting, that thing comes under emotional content. Okay, so emotional content is usually not supposed to come into formal discussions, but you can use them to change the tide. Okay, particularly in the first question that you will be normally asked, introduce yourself. There and there only you should limit your emotional content. Okay. uh, in informal settings you can use this all the time, but in formal settings try to avoid emotional content. What is emotional content? uh, Particularly something which is um, which can trigger emotional responses. Okay, emotional responses are not a good sign in an interview. Okay, yes, you people should be impressed by you, but not with the emotional quotient that you show, but with the technical quotient that you show, at least for the interview. Okay, emotional content is good when you are actually inside the industry, you are actually working with people. In that case, emotional quotient is extremely required. Uh, so, for good interview, you need non-emotional content. For good work life, you need very emotional content. Okay, so try to keep them separate and try to stick to your formal and technical content as much as possible during the interviews. Okay, after that, how should you behave? That is not the part of discussion so today. So we also have that in some other presentations. But as of now, we will try to avoid emotional content in our interview sessions. Okay. Next is problem solving. Okay, problem solving is very important. Okay, problem solving, whenever you are discussing problem solving content, uh, you are not being tested for the right answer. Our entire life we are finding right answers. Okay, uh, in Laplace equation, someone gives you some equation and asks you to do the Laplace on it. You find everything correctly, and lastly you find an answer, let's say XYZ. And as long as you don't get XYZ, your entire equation is wrong. Okay, your entire solution is wrong. So problem solving in interviews does not work like that. Problem solving in interviews will start at the question itself. So first thing, immediately after the question is being asked, what interviewer will do is they ask, because you don't have a lot of time to stay silent, they are immediately observing how are you approaching the question. Okay, just a second ago I asked you what will happen to my hand if I hold it in front of that nitrogen that is coming out at 200 degrees Celsius. So if this question is being asked to you in an interview, what is interviewer doing? The interviewer is actually looking at you and try to observe what you are thinking, what is your thought process behind what you are trying to answer. Okay, so when you are answering, you might say, if you already know the answer, yes, it will not burn. I'll hold my hand in front of nitrogen, nothing will happen. This is the final answer. That is the final XYZ that we just talked about. But the interviewer is more interested in understanding how you arrived to that answer. Okay, because in most cases, the answers are not as rigid. as
कहते हैं कहीं तो बोल बोल ये बात ना भूल जा बन तो सोई जाए
so the answers are not as rigid as the normal mathematical questions are. Always the steps that you follow to reach to that answer is considered. Okay, so your approach is more important because the problems that you will be seeing in industry will be new every day. Okay, not all the chemical engineering answers are found immediately. Okay, and that is why your uh, approach to solve a problem is more important than the direct answers. Okay, so you can also practice this while preparing for interview. Whenever a question is asked, if you know the answer directly, tell the answer, and immediately after that add to that answer saying that why I thought this will happen. Okay, if I hold my hand in front of nitrogen, I don't think my hand will burn because. Okay, and then state your thought process. Okay, because in my college I know when we were giving interviews, the problem was not many of our students were very good technically, but they lacked the uh, ability to explain their answers. Okay, the thought process wasn't clear. The thought process wasn't structured. So whenever you are practicing for your interview, try to answer like this. If XYZ is the question and XYZ is the answer, so XYZ because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the steps I took to reach to this particular conclusion. So that is the problem solving content that we are looking at. Okay. So whenever you are approaching your interviews, whenever you are practicing for your interviews, try to answer like this. Okay. Whereas you are stating your thought process, and it is very well observed. Most interviewers always observe your thought process behind answering the questions than your actual answers. Okay, because actual answers are not rigid and uh, exact or precise in actual industry. There is always an industrial error of plus minus 5% in all the calculations. Okay, so there is a margin of being wrong somewhere in 10% of that range, but your thought process should be right. You should be reaching the right conclusions. That is what we are trying to understand from problem solving content. Okay, next would be social content. So social content is relevant in your interview again if you are in marketing and business professions. Okay, so you need to know what is the general social condition of the area or region for which you are being interviewed. Okay, uh, do you know the language? Do you know the behaviors? Do you know the current political scenario? Do you know the current new business initiatives that are being taken in that area? Do you know the environmental laws? Do you know the um, current status of their that company business wise? Are they doing well? Are they not doing well? If they are doing well, what are the causes? If they are not doing well, what are the causes? So these are social understandings behind uh, anything that you are going to talk about. So this social content is also relevant to any other company that you are getting interviewed for. Okay, so always research about that. So that is what comes under social content. How can we work upon that? We have a separate section for it. We will continue that in interview preparation, but that is the social content that I want you to understand. Okay, then there is reflective content. So what is reflective content? Interviewer will give you question and they'll also give you the answer. Okay, and you will have to reflect upon their answer. Okay, so it is not this is kind of a question where multiple answers could be right. Okay, and multiple answers uh, can be the solution for the problem. In this case again, your analytical skills are being tested. Okay, If they give you one question, and out of A, B, C that you know already are the answers, they are focusing only on A and not B and C. Your response is expected in a way that you are reflecting onto their approach to reach that particular answer. Okay, so that is reflective content. When you are speaking about your own analysis about one particular path that you have taken to reach this particular solution. Okay, that is reflective. And last would be relationship content. Okay, so what is relationship content? Relationship content is basically finding correlations between point A and point B, or point A, B, C, D, whatever number of points that you are discussing. Okay, for example, is there any do you know any process where heat transfer and mass transfer are simultaneously happening? Can anybody give an answer quickly? No issues there. So this is the relationship type of a content. Okay, when the people are expecting you to find relationships between two different entities or two different subjects. Okay, so that is relationship content. You are expected to explicitly talk about the things which are common in these two. Okay, and their interactions with each other. Okay, so that is relationship content. So this is all about content that we are talking about. Okay, so again I'll repeat, in speaking or in communicating there are four major classifications and discussion. First being greetings. It is very quick and very simple. Try to be formal and try to be warm. Okay, wish good day, good evening, good morning, and immediately after that smile. That is a sign of warmth. It is in human brains. Whenever you are smiling, the individual opposite to you tends to soften also. Okay, so always greet. Second would be introduce. When you are introducing yourself, always try to be formal in your initial introduction. You can be casual when you are not in a formal setting. Okay, next is the content. Contents can be of many forms. I just explained multiple of them to you. Informal content, opinion and perspectives, emotional, problem solving, social, reflective, and relationship. So all of these contents are basically value adds to your content, to your communication in that particular channel. Okay, so whenever you are into a discussion, this is the most impactful section of your communication. So always try to be more more present into the communication in this particular section. Okay, you can actually, when you are practicing this, you can actually memorize these sections. Okay, greetings is done, introduction is done, now is the time when I'm delivering value. Okay, that is when you're actually focusing on content. And you will also be able to classify your closings. Okay, I'll show you what closings are. So closings are mainly ending of the discussion. Okay, so how do you want to end the discussion? That is also very important. So once greetings and introductions are done, you added value to that communication, be it interview, be it any formal setting, be it any meeting, be it any debate, be it any group discussion. Okay, so that is the content when where you are spending the longest time. Okay, you are adding value to your communication. And then when you are closing, what exactly is the impression that you want to leave on the individual you just talked to? That depends so much on closings that you do. Okay, so if you have seen movies or what we can say, lawyer movies, there is always one statement used at the end of the uh, fight. They ask both the lawyers to do closing arguments. Okay, so try to remember this particular concept in that manner. Whenever you are closing argument is something which is going to stick. Okay, and you always need to be very precise on how to close a discussion. Okay, because that is your last impression on the person, and immediately once you leave that table from the interview, immediately after that the interviewer is going to rank you in most of the cases 1 to 5. They are going to rate you in 1 to 5 sections, 1 to 5 marks out of let's say 20 questions. Okay, so they have to answer 20 questions, and for each question there is no yes or no answer, there is always 1 to 5 answer. Okay, so they rate you on your confidence 5, on your subject knowledge 3, on your interpersonal skills 5, on your, so things like that they are going to rate you, and that impression is basically given or basically emphasized in your closing statement. Okay, your last few lines are going to stick. So plan your closings. Okay, what are the types of closings that you have? So polite closing, uh, basically when you're closing, just be polite in saying whatever it is. Okay, what, how can you do it? For example, you had a discussion with your interviewer, there were some questions asked, you were able to answer some, you were not able to answer some, fine, list them down. Okay, try to remember the questions and try to remember the discussion uh, throughout the interview. When you are closing down, just say, today we discussed this one, two, three questions. Out of these, I could answer these three, but I can improve upon them, and I could not answer these two. I think this particular subject will able to help me, and immediately after leaving this interview panel, I'll make sure that I learn these particular concepts also. Okay, so uh, see, when you are delivering this kind of closing, what you are leaving behind in the interviewer's mind is you are able to retain the discussion. Okay, that is the first point. In many meetings, the problem that many people face is after the meeting, nobody remembers anything. Okay, many meetings in the industry do happen in that way. Senseless meetings. You go sit in a meeting, you waste a lot of time because there are no action points at the end. So instead, when you are delivering something like this, and in the end, when you are closing politely, specifically saying that, thank you for this opportunity, sir. I or ma'am, or I was asked these five questions, 5 6 questions. I was asked some questions out of which I could answer approximately. Always remember, 65% is your cutoff unless you are in the cutthroat competition. 65% is your cutoff. If you are able to answer 65% questions, you are in. If you are not able to answer, uh, it is not necessarily always right, but you can say it's a thumb rule. If somebody is able to answer 65% of questions, they are selected. Okay, so I was in, and that is why try to remember the number of questions being asked and how many of them were you able to answer. Okay, uh, and while closing, try to use this particular line. So out of all the questions that we have faced today, I think I was able to answer almost 70 75% of your questions. And the questions I could not answer were these one, two, three. And immediately after leaving this session, I'll make sure that I learn these concepts also. So what is it showing? It is showing few things. First, you are retaining the discussion, whatever happened. Second, you are also analyzing the discussion, whatever happened. Like you are taking out some insights for yourself. Okay. Third, you are generating action points at the in the end. Okay. So you did a meeting and you know what to do immediately after that. Okay. So these are the behavioral patterns that you are conveying after your right amount of closing. Okay, so that is why polite closing is very important. Next would be action oriented closing. Okay, when I said I'll be immediately working on this after leaving the meeting. Okay, after leaving the interview, I'll immediately start understanding these two concepts. So that is action oriented. Once I leave, I'm going to go to. So, for example, let's say you are sitting in a meeting and there were 10 points discussed, out of which you had like out of 10, you have 2 points to work on. So, while closing that meeting, just say that these two are the points that I'll be working on. So, everybody else knows that who is the responsible person for this particular action to be done. Okay, so action oriented closing is when you are seeing that yes, this is what the discussion was. These are the action points that I am entitled to, and I'll be working upon this. Okay, so these are the action oriented points. If required, and if you already know about these things, you can also give details. Okay, For example, if there were some questions on heat exchangers and they were asking you about tube bundles and tube pitches, so you can say and out of that you were able to answer the most questions except for one or two things. Okay, so you can go to as specific things as possible. Okay, even though I know the heat exchangers well, I understand now that I do not understand tube pitch very well. So my action, so what I'll do is immediately after this session, I will go and learn about tube pitches. Okay, so that gives you a specific answer. So that is action oriented closing. You are giving the specific action as your closing argument. Okay, so that is action oriented closing. Next would be agreement or consensus consensus closing. Okay, what is agreement and consensus closing is basically uh, sometimes in interviews I have observed that uh, interviewers ask questions that they are facing right now. Okay, interviewers can't bring questions out of the blue. Okay, they are always asking questions in the sense that they can solve their own problems immediately after that, because they are not full-time interviewers, they are full-time professionals in their industries. They are here to select a few so that later they can help you. But what is in their mind right now, in their mind right now is their work, and they are facing some kind of problem at all times. Okay, all the engineers are always solving some kind of problem in their professional life. So that is the biggest area uh, occupying their brain. So when agreement or consensus closing come in is basically when he the interviewer throws a problem at you, you try to solve it, and this discussion doesn't remain question answer. Okay, this discussion gets into actual discussion phase. Okay, the interviewer says something, you answer the question, you ask another problem, the interviewer gives a solution, and this goes on for a while. Okay, in that case immediately after that question is ending, say that yes, now we can agree upon this particular thing. So if this is happening, y is the answer, and this is the general idea behind it. So that is agreement or consensus. Okay, you are both agreeing to one particular solution. And trust me, if something like this happens, it is the best thing that can happen to you in the interview, if both interviewer and you can come on to an agreement for any type of solution. Okay, if they are asking you some kind of questions and you are able to bring them into discussion and in the end agree with the interviewer, so the agree wala part sticks with the interviewer, and um, that actually helps in your rating. Okay, so it's a it's a great thing if you could get an interviewer into agreement. Okay, next is appreciation closing. So uh, your interview went flawless, everything was amazing. In that case, always thank the interviewer for their time, because again, as I said earlier, your interviewer is not full-time interviewer, they are full-time professionals in chemical engineering or any engineering or any kind of work that they are doing right now, and they are taking their that time out to come here and interview you. So always appreciate that action of theirs and thank them for their time in the end of the closing. Okay, in the end of the interview or any discussion, formal discussion that you are having with your colleagues, your clients, your vendors, anyone, because they are taking time out for you from their normal schedule. Thank them, appreciate them for that. Okay, that is appreciative closing. Next is future interaction closing. Okay, this is not normally, this does not normally happen in interviews directly. Okay, even if there could be multiple interviews for some companies, HR will come back to you in later phase, not during the interview. So future interaction closing in business interactions. Okay, so you meet for the first time, someone is trying to show what kind of product that they are selling. uh, you try and understand it, you basically discuss the pros and cons, and then you tell them that okay, you send us some samples, let's say 3 samples, and we will basically after testing these samples at our lab, we'll then discuss what we can do in the future. Okay, so these are future interaction closings when you come to a agreement saying that yes, we'll try this, and based on the results or analysis, we will come back to you on the next plan of action. Okay, that is future interaction. It is always based on some kind of uh, result or conclusion. Okay, so that is future interaction type of closing. And there is simple formal closing, just saying thank you, getting up off your seat and leave. uh, Even though this is very formal, I would not recommend doing something like that. Sometimes the interviewer may seem like he's not interested in sitting there in the interview, he's not interested in taking your interview in general. Even then, you are not entitled to give into that particular feeling. Always follow all the steps above as much as possible, because that is going to give you a good rating. Okay, formal closings are necessary sometimes. Sometimes you just can't penetrate the interviewer. In that case, thank them and then leave the uh, interview zone. Okay, so going to face in an interview. Okay, or in any communication in general, any formal communication. Okay. Okay, so to summarize, uh, what are the different behavioral tools that can be used on daily basis to actually be prepared for the interview? Okay, so just a second.
Sir, we have a question.
Yes, go on, ask. Please ask.
Rocky, you can ask the question.
Okay, is that in chat box
Yeah, it
posted
is
in
in
the
the
chat?
chat box.
Okay, just a second. Okay, okay. What if we are answering some questions, but our answer is not satisfied? The Satisfied with our answer. How to handle such situation? Okay, interviewer is not satisfied. Uh, okay. Uh, don't try to push the interviewer. It's fine. If the interviewer moves on from that question, don't try to bring them back. But remember this question. And as I said earlier, uh, in the end, uh, touch upon this question and tell them that I think it was not satisfactory to you, but I'll be immediately after leaving this interview, I'll work on this and I'll understand the concept. Okay, it is possible we don't know everything from when we are in college. Our syllabuses are outdated and the industry has moved on, but it is okay to know, not know many things. And only thing is what they are expecting from you is your awareness of you not knowing things. Okay, don't when you don't know the answer, just say, sir, I don't know. It's okay. You don't know the answers. The industry has gone far away ahead of the college syllabuses. It's okay if you don't know the answers. So whenever you don't know the answers, don't try to answer in vague ways. That actually reduces your impression on the interviewer. If you don't know something, say I don't know. But when you know something and it is incomplete, in before answering, address that. Say that, sir, I think I know the partial answer to this question, and this is what I know. So, whenever you are preparing, prepare for that circumstance also, that you know the answer, but you don't know the complete answer. This is the amount of answer that I know, and deliver that much. That is fine. And because you have already basically disclosed that you don't know the entire answer, interviewer is not expecting the answer itself. So when you say I don't know entire answer, they're expecting zero out of you. Then you add point 0.1, point 0.1, point 0.1, point 0.1, as much as you know, and it reaches point 0.5. That is good enough for the interviewer. Okay, so because they were not expecting any answer, you are giving 0.5% of answer. It's very good for them. So don't try to get into a situation where interviewer is not satisfied. Try to disclose in the beginning itself that you don't know the answer completely, but this is the answer that I know. This much is the answer that I know. Okay, try to deliver it that way. Does that answer your question, Rocky? Okay, thank you so much. Um, so just to summarize the communication, uh, these are the behavioral tools that you can use on daily basis to prepare and be ready for interview. That is one, and then rest of your professional life also. Okay, what is paraphrasing? Paraphrasing is basically when uh, you repeat things in your head and sometimes verbally uh, of the discussion that is happening right now. Okay, for example, when I'm saying that you should do XYZ, in that case, just repeat it in your head or immediately after, not immediately after the sentence is complete, immediately after the discussion is over, paraphrase the thing. Basically, repeat that thing or repeat the key things from your discussion. Okay, that is paraphrasing. So when you are repeating the key takeaways from the discussion, uh, basically you remember what discussion has happened, the interviewer remembers what discussion has happened, both of you remember, or anyone in not the interviewer only, anyone you are discussing with uh, will remember what the discussion and what are the action points are. So paraphrasing is basically repeating the key uh, value adds that have happened right now, and basically um, summarizing them or just throwing them out, saying them out loud. Okay, that emphasizes on your attention. Basically, it makes sure the samne wala knows that uh, you were attentive during the discussion. That much is sufficient. So that is the reason why you should do paraphrasing. Next is summarizing. So summarizing is basically again listing down the points. Now, the difference in paraphrasing and summarizing is paraphrasing is just the key points, okay, and summarizing is all the points. So let's say if you discuss 20 concepts, out of these 5 were the actual value adds. So in paraphrasing you will give only 5, but in summarizing you will write down all the discussion points that you have done. Okay, so minutes of meetings, you might have heard MOMs. Okay, so MOMs are summarizations. Okay, and the closing statements that we just discussed in the previous slide, that was paraphrasing. Okay, so when you are addressing key parameters, it's paraphrasing. When you are listing down all the points, it's summarization. Okay, uh, then next is reflecting feelings. So reflecting feelings is basically, it is a day-to-day activity, it is not a interview activity. Reflecting feeling is basically speaking out what you feel about anything. Okay, so that is one. And second, when you are interacting with someone, uh, if someone is feeling happy, just be happy with them. If someone is feeling sad, just sit down with them. So that is reflecting feelings, responding to the feelings of others, that is reflecting feelings. Okay, so that is in general a very good communication skill which comes in handy in long term. Okay, this is not for interviews, this is particularly for your formal career ahead. Reflecting feelings is basically be empathetic to your counterpart, whoever it is. Okay, so be empathetic, try to understand what they're feeling right now, and be supportive, be it anger, be it happiness, be it anything. So be present, be like reflect their feelings. If they're happy, enjoy with them. If they're sad, just sit with them, console them if required, something like that. Okay, so that is reflecting feelings. Next and very important is asking open-ended question. Okay, uh, I'll give you a simpler tool than that. Asking open-ended questions. So many people have told you that ask open-ended questions, but how do you ask open-ended questions? I just asked open-ended question. how, why, okay, when. How and why mainly are open-ended questions. Okay, yes or no type of questions are what, when, did you not. So these are open-ended. These are closed-ended questions. The answers are yes, no, at this time, at that time. These are closed-ended questions that can end immediately. Okay, but when you ask open-ended questions like how can we do this, in that case you are exploring the samne wala ka, you're exploring the person's mind state, or you are exploring the person's approach to solve that particular equation. Okay, so how can we do it, or what can be done to solve this. Okay, so in these particular type of questions what you are trying to get is more information, more understanding. Okay, so in day to day life, try to ask more open ended questions than closed ended questions. Okay, yes or no answers, very easy. Many of the times, people will basically forget that they answered you. Okay, however, when you ask open ended question, it will stick and it will always be helpful for you because you will get more information out of that answer. Okay, also, remember this tactic. We will be covering this in the end of the interview section also. When people ask you that, do you want to know anything about our company? So in that particular question, always ask a how question. Okay, this will open a discussion forum. They will answer their how question, and you will be able to comment on that, and you can actually start a discussion there. And because it is end of the interview, nobody is judging you for any answer or any question, and that discussion may end up giving you some brownie points. Okay, so always ask open ended questions. How, what, and something like that. Okay, next is non-verbal cues. Non-verbal cues is basically smiling, putting on a good face, then your entire behavior in general, like what is your body language in front of anybody. You can start working upon that. There is a way that I have discussed in this presentation itself. Going ahead, we'll cover that. Okay, how to act on that particularly. Next is avoiding interruptions. So whenever someone is speaking, try to avoid interruptions. Try to let that individual complete that their sentence or their topic. Let them vent it out completely, and then you can uh, respond. Okay, not react, respond. So what is the difference between react and respond? React is basically you do something in response to someone without taking sufficient time to analyze the particular question. Okay, sometimes you are so confident of your answer you just blur it out. Okay, so if you think before that answer you might just understand that there was a catch in that question. Okay, if you give sufficient time for thinking for that answer, maybe just 1 second or 2 seconds, that is sufficient. Before you start answering the question, take that much time, and in those 2 seconds you are sure that the question has ended, or whatever the samne wala speaking is ended, and now you are now they are open to listening to you. Okay, why this is important? Because when someone is speaking about something and you interrupt them, they are not ready to listen to you right now. The thought process that was going on while delivering that dialogue is still going on in their heads. So they are not prepared to listen to you right now. So when you let them complete their sentences or statements, in that case, you can start responding to the answer. Response is basically after analyzing the question completely, you start answering. That is responses. And reaction is basically animal instinct. If someone puts a small hammer that normally doctors use on your knee jerk reaction is your reaction. Okay, it is not your response. So don't react, respond. Okay, avoid interrupting the individual who is talking to you. Next is avoid distractions. Okay, so what is distractions? Distractions is basically something like, let's say your phone. Even though you will put it on silent while going into an interview, it can still vibrate. Okay, that is a distraction. If you keep an window open and the kids outside are playing or someone is laughing outside, that's a distraction. Okay, so avoid distractions when you are when you are communicating with someone, when you are actually sitting with someone and having a small discussion. Try to avoid discussion, try to distractions, try to avoid putting your phone on the table, try to avoid putting your phone in your hands. Okay, these are basically distractions. If you have your phone in hand, you will continuously want to open it and check for the WhatsApp statuses, check for the next notification that you have. So try to avoid distractions when you are actually sitting down with someone and discussing something. Okay, so this will give you a very good edge in many communication skills that you might have to face. Okay, so avoid distractions. Next is providing feedback. Okay, now there are multiple types of feedbacks. One is positive, negative. These are the things that you already know: positive feedback, negative feedback. But there are also some feedbacks which are called critical feedbacks. Okay, critical feedbacks are basically when you don't like something, you just don't give a feedback saying I didn't like this. Okay, you say I didn't like this because one, two, three, these three reasons, and I think that these could be the solutions one, two, three. Okay, these are critical feedbacks, wherein or positively critical feedbacks, wherein even though the feedback is supposed to be negative, when the receiver is receiving it, they are feeling good about it, because even though there was a problem, Samne wala did not just give you the problems, but they also gave you the solutions for it. Okay, so that is providing feedbacks, uh, and in a positive, critical way. Okay, so, sometimes when you don't like something, you just don't say I don't like it. Say why you don't like it and what could have been the better. Okay, so that is how you give positive uh, feedbacks or positive critical feedbacks. Okay, so it's almost been 1.5 hours. uh, if you want, we can have a quick break of 5 minutes and then we can continue. Okay.
Sir, we have a question from Shama.
uh, so what if I answer a question thinking that I know is what I know is correct, but the answer is actually not correct? Fine. That is like Shama. When I said when you answer, don't answer in yes or no. Always answer with a because in it. Okay. For example, my hand will not burn because, and that will give you a thought process. So as I said earlier, all the interviewers are interested in your thought process, because the answers are not rigid. They just want to understand what you are thinking. So even though they are expecting a heat exchange or a heat transfer or mass transfer answer, but if your thought process is actually letting you answer in CRE way, so that is also fine because you know CRE. They are open to all kind of knowledge that you have. So sometimes you might be weak in a mass transfer. You actually process things more better in CRE. So that is fine with them. So when you are answering, immediately after the answer, try to add because after it. So when you are answering that yes, Mumbai to Pune is 300 kilometers because their longitudinal distance is this much. So you know geography, something like that. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Kshama. Uh, Meanwhile, while we are taking a break, if you want to ask any more questions on this topic, you can add this to chat box right now. It's 9:02 right now. Let's meet at 9:07, 5 minutes precisely. Okay, let's be punctual. We have wasted a lot of time earlier, and we have a huge module to cover. Okay, it's just communication that we have covered until now. I'll just show you how much more there is. Okay, so we have covered only this much right now. There is so much more to cover. Okay, so be punctual and we'll meet at 9:07. Okay.
रेगुलर साइज, जिसमें टॉपिंग होता है अनियन, कैप्सिकम, टोमेटो और ग्रिल्ड मशरूम। इसको आप अपने हिसाब से भी टॉपिंग करा सकते हैं, जैसे कि मैंने मशरूम की जगह
Okay, it's 9:07. Let's start. Okay, Pratik has asked us a question. Good evening, sir. Yes, Pratik has already started working on it. Good evening, sir. My question is, how much difficulties can someone face if a person is not that good in technical but had a great experience of leadership and teamwork in particular organization? Pratik, let me answer you this question in my personal experience. So, uh, we had this company interviewing us, and uh, it was a South Korean company. Everybody was South Korean. The interviewer and everybody in the panel. So they brought Mac and our devices in conference room where they presented their first approach to us. That was all Windows PCs. So if you know, the Macs have different kind of connectors, and their presentation could not run. So I was part of multiple organizations in my college days. So immediately after, and these people were there to hire multiple departments. So mechanical, chemical, instrumentation, multiple people were sitting in the same conference room. So some mechanical teacher asked me, a chemical student, to organize something, to organize a PC which can basically transfer the presentation onto that computer, and then make sure that everybody runs smoothly. So yes, something like this can happen, and these skills are very relevant. I got placed in that company. Unfortunately, I was also placed in some different company also, so I chose that company over the South Korean company. But yes, your interpersonal skills do get developed when you work in organization structure. I'll give you the reasoning behind that. First is you learn the organization itself. You learn how to play and basically make sure that all the things go right. So yes, it's a very good experience. Even though you are not good at technical, your organization skills are equally important in the industry. So if you have heard the term project managers or program managers, so these are the particular types of skills that job roles that need this particular skill. So it's not a worst thing that can happen to you if you don't know technical. Technical things are important, but along with that, most of the other things are also important. That is why I haven't jumped into interview, how to prepare for interview directly. I have jumped into the interpersonal skills first, because they are more relevant and more important, because the people who are going to work with you need to survive with you first, and that is where your experience in leadership and teamwork will come in handy. So don't worry, Pratik, everything will be fine. Even though you may not be able to answer a lot of technical questions, uh, again, as I told you, 65% is good enough, 65 to 70% is good enough. Not everybody knows everything. So again, the interviewer knows that they are interviewing students who haven't have any experience in industry. So it's okay if you know a lot don't know a lot of technical stuff, but you need to know some basics that are relevant and are important, that are basically considered common sense for a chemical engineer. So that much you need to know, but you don't need to know specifics. That's okay. If you don't know specifics, that's okay. But you need to know the things which are considered common sense. Okay, is that answer good?
Yes, sir.
Great. So again, don't worry. Tomorrow there is a this is a two-phase session. So today we are going to cover 3 hours. Tomorrow we are going to cover 3 hours. So in tomorrow's session, I will be touching upon this point, and I'll be explaining how exactly can we tackle this problem, and how can we have sufficient knowledge to basically be prepared for such scenarios. Okay. So don't worry, we'll cover this in the tomorrow's session, though it is second part of our presentation. Um just a second. Jatan, I'm not able to share my screen. Can you check what exactly is happening?
Just a minute. Huh?
Yes, sure. Yes, it is available now.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So this is the last phase where we ended. Next part is grooming. Okay. So how do you want to present yourself? That is grooming. How do you want to be seen? Uh, so do you want to be seen as a funk in an interview? That's 100% your choice, not a problem. But when an interviewer is expecting you, they are expecting you in formal attire. So again, I'll share a personal experience here. When I was about to get interviewed, that was the first time I wore the entire formal uh, clothing. Okay, and it becomes difficult. It becomes when it is the first time for you, it is not something which you are adjusted. You prepare for interview, make sure you prepare for formal attire also. Okay, because normally we are in jeans and t-shirts in our colleges, but when we are going for the interview, we suddenly take new clothes. The belt should be right, the shoes should be polished and stuff like that, and that becomes a difficult task. So taking care of that clothing also becomes an additional burden during that interview phase itself. Okay, we sweat because we are under a lot of stress. So that sweating is achanak se visible on your clothing. So uh, So it becomes literally difficult to handle the clothing and the interview and the question answers, all of that stuff happening simultaneously. That becomes difficult. So when I'm going to talk about grooming, I'm going to talk about that. Okay, so be comfortable with your clothing. Try start wearing them more often. Okay, don't wait for the interview to come. Start wearing them from tomorrow itself, okay, or the Monday itself. It is okay if some friends tease you for next few days, but you are basically getting comfortable inside that shirt and that trouser and that formal shoe. It's okay. Okay, so let's get into grooming. So there are two main classifications under grooming. First is hygiene and second is dressing. Okay, so the first parameter of hygiene, of course, is for hostelites. Please bathe, please have a bath every day, and at least going for the interview, be presentable. Okay, bath, brush, trim, and maintain nails. Nails. This is common for both males and females. When see, chemical industry is very old, and people inside chemical industry are also very old. So their thought processes are also very old. So even though the new fashion trend is keeping longer nails, even though you are maintaining them in current fashion trend, it is not advisable to go into interview with long nails. Okay, make sure that your nails are cut, trimmed, and they are not visible. Okay, they should be part of your body and not their own presence altogether. Okay, so make sure you maintain or trim your nails, maintain your haircut properly. Okay, uh, we really do not want to see hippies inside our companies in many cases, apart from the startup culture. So most people do prefer well maintained haircuts. Okay, um, and last would be fragrances or deodorants. This is something that I advise to everybody because uh, interviews are very stressful, and it is our bodily behavior to like have more you can say perspiration in that stressful time. So try to use good deodorants, not very strong, something light which will hide your stench of perspiration. Okay, so do use fragrances and deodorants, but not very strong that it can give headache to someone. Okay, so hygiene is very important. Make sure you bathe, make sure you brush, you should not have a bad breath. Make sure you maintain your nails right, make sure you have a good haircut, and make sure you on the day of interview at least use some fragrance which is not very strong so that it can give headaches, but it should be sufficient enough to hide the stench of your perspiration. Okay, so that's for hygiene. Next is dressing. Okay, uh, dressing is very subjective. Okay, so what kind of interview you are giving is actually going to answer this question more accurately. Okay, so dressing must be clean clothing. Okay, it should be clean, it should be ironed. Okay, it should be pressed well. So clean and pressed is the basic that you will need, that is the bare minimum. uh, in some industries it is okay to know, it is okay to wear t-shirts and jeans, but again, you are going for an interview, you don't know that what exactly is their culture in their company. So to be ready for now, always wear good formals. For males it is simple, light blue t-shirt, light blue shirt, formal shirt, and a dark blue or black pant. So this is normal, very common interview dressing, and it works. Do stick to these colors. These are colors which do not stick to your eye, like they do not repel anybody. Okay, that is the idea behind it. So use light colors. If you are using lighter shades of any different color, that is also fine. Sometimes people use brown, sometimes people use pink, something like that. So go for lighter shades, do not go for darker shades. Okay, next it should be formal. Okay, tie is optional. Okay, if you have a culture in your college of for wearing ties, that is fine, no problem. Then use the tie. That's a good thing. But it is optional. Not everybody in every company wears ties. Okay, most of the ground force in India is basically outsourcing their knowledge to somebody else in different country. So unless you are client facing individual who is sitting with clients, sitting with foreign clients at all the times, you do people don't expect you to wear ties. Okay, Indian companies normally do not wear ties, so it is optional. If you are very habitual to it, if you normally wear the tie, wear it, because in that case it won't basically make or add another struggle to your entire fiasco in that particular situation. But if you normally don't wear it, it's okay not to wear ties into interviews. Okay. Next is again, this particular statement is for girls. Pay attention to the details of the colors. Absolutely avoid red. Do not wear any kind of red during the interviews, because red is a what you can say, disturbing color. So it becomes a distraction when you are sitting in an interview. Even if your nail paint is in red color, the chances are when you are moving your hands, the red color is prominent. It comes into the view of the individual sitting across you, and it is distracting. It may distract them from your answer, and that is absolutely something that you do not want. So absolutely avoid any red, be it clothing, be it uh, any accessories that you are using. Try to avoid red. uh, Again, normal blue and uh, black are the colors. White is very much very good, but I would not advise white, because it's a stressful situation. You tend to perspirate, and white color tends to show that perspiration. So that is why I'm not saying white directly. But if you are comfortable, if you have AC interview rooms, that in that case, yes, you can use white color shirts. You can use white color tops. It's a very good color to use, because again, we our brain chemistry is supposed to react to colors differently, and white color is very welcoming. So white and lighter colors are always preferred. So dress accordingly. Do not choose something which is very bold or very uh, outstanding or something like that. Okay. Choose appropriate accessories, like for males it could be a good pen. Yes, buy a good pen. Take stick to your pocket. Uh, then for boys it is not much. For girls it is more relevant. Choose appropriate accessories. Do not go for something extravagant, because this is interview. You can choose extravagance after you are selected, but while in the interview, be among the common folk. If you want to stand out in your communications. Okay, don't stand out in your uh, behavior. Okay, so this is the personal grooming, and we are going to get into that. Again, bath is very important. Make sure you bath, make sure you brush, make sure you trim your nails, make sure you cut your hair correctly, and use fragrances. Okay. If you have any questions, you can directly keep on posting in the chat box. I'll check quickly if you have any new questions. Okay. Sharali has posted a feedback form. If you like me or hate me, whatever it is, please fill the feedback form so that I can improve upon those skills in the next session. Okay. Next is technical skills. Okay, give me just a second. A bunch of it, and the current time is 9:30. We have promised 9. Fine. Uh, okay, we'll complete resume building today. Rest we can continue tomorrow. Okay. Uh, so resume building is a skill. Okay, it requires a lot of work, and uh, particularly for the people who are already in the industry. Those who are students, it is still okay to have very simple formats in resumes, but For people who are working, it is a difficult task to build a resume because here people are not going to approach you. Here people are going to approach your resume first. So that is your first impression. And building a right resume is extremely important. So it's a skill mainly very important for working professionals. Screen is not visible. Just a second. Okay, now the screen should be visible. Fine. Uh, okay, so building resume is very important, and it is uh, more important to working professionals. For students, it is okay to have a simple resume, but again, resume is your first impression to the interviewer. Anytime when you are going to go into a interview room, your resume is the first thing that your interviewer is seeing. So make sure that it's a good resume. At least it should not be ill aligned. Okay, it should be very aligned to your current professional knowledge. Okay, so let's jump into that. So before you start building your resume, if you know that you are applying for a certain category of companies, okay, in that case you must do some amount of research. Okay, so for example, if you are applying for Reliance, okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so for example, if you're applying for Reliance, in that case you need to know what function they work in. Okay, so Reliance is extremely broad for the example, but let's say they work in geo, that is telecom. They work in retail, that is so many things like digital and trends and clothing and stuff like that. They are that is one function. Particularly where chemical engineers go, petrochemical section. So that is their function. That is relevant function to us. Okay. So know in what function the company works in. What is their domain? Domain is for us petrochemical industry. Okay. So research about that. What is available in public domain about Reliance Petrochemicals? What is their business agenda? How many plants do they have? How many plants, like in what plants, what is the production? What are they producing? What is their final product? Then what is their raw material? Where are they getting the raw material from? This is the general domain knowledge that you should have about any company that you are building your resume for. Okay. uh, Again, once you know the plant, what are the individual unit operations that they might have in their plants? So what is the most common unit operation? It is heat exchanger. What is the second most common unit operation? It is distillation column. So so if you know these things, in that case you can directly focus your resume details in such a way that it can reflect your knowledge about those particular things which are domain of that company. Okay, so Aritha, just a second, stop moving. Aritra, you must be having a tab wherein you can cancel control, something like that. Please check the option. I have lost control. Go to your Teams, go to your PC Teams. Okay, hold on, don't do anything. Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. Uh, so know about the domain. Next is the job role. For example, what job role are you getting hired for? Normally, many companies, when they hire as GETs. Okay, so it is very unclear that what GET is going to do um in the company in the long run. Okay, so normally, if there is a recruitment type of a company like Reliance, in that case you can assume one of two things. One is going to be operations manager, second is going to be process engineer. Okay, so these are the most common job roles that you will see in any company. Okay, so that is what you should be preparing for. Okay, or that is what is something that you need to write in your resume, that you have exposure towards. Okay, even if you don't have, try to align your answers in such a way that you at least know what these domains are. Okay, so that is the job role. These are the research factors, huh? These are the researches that you are conducting before you start building your resume. The worst thing that you can do is take someone else's resume, put your name on it. Okay, that is the worst thing that you can do. Build your resume. It's not very difficult. It is difficult when you are doing for the first time, because you don't know anything. You can use anyone else's resume as a reference, but build your own resume. That way you will know what you have written in your resume. Okay, and trust me, every interviewer will visit your resume at least once during your interview, and they'll find things uh, which are relevant to you first. Okay, resume is something which is basically giving you the opportunity to present yourself in a way that is relevant to you the most. Okay, for example, Pratik did just ask us what is my forte. My forte is not technical, my forte is organizational. So when Pratik is building his resume, he will write his extracurriculars very well in detail, in like what are his achievements that he can show, he can portray that there. Whereas if Aritra has done her internship in some good company, and she has very good technical knowledge, and she has done a great project along with that company during that internship, then she can present those details in depth. So building a resume is a very critical thing, and do not just copy paste it from somebody else, because it is your representation, it is not somebody else's representation. Okay, so job role, research about the job role, what you are going to do, and try to integrate those things, and try to show that you know something about that job role. Okay, what are the key skills that are required for that particular job role? So try to identify those key skills. What are the key basically understandings of subjects that you will need? Try to identify that, and try to emphasize these things in your resume. Okay, then who are the stakeholders? For example, if you are getting into a pharmaceutical company, your stakeholders are your management, your team, and then your customer. So customer must have good quality. So these are stakeholders. When you are getting into petrochemicals, your stakeholders are your management, your team, and then downstream management or downstream team. There are so many levels of plants that you will see until the final product is actually achieved. So I mean, from starting from wells to plastic production, everything has so many different plants involved. So make sure that you know your stakeholders, what kind of stakeholders that you are going to deal with. Okay. And again, in this particular interview session, your stakeholder also is interviewer. Okay, so if you can research who is your interviewer, who will be actually going to come and take your interview, if you can identify the individual, do visit their LinkedIn accounts, do try to research about them, talk to your seniors, talk to your professors who are actually communicating with the interviewers, try to understand more about the individual who is going to come and take your interview. If you know so many things, in that case you can cater your interview in such a way, cater your resume in such a way that it can stand out. Okay, it can show a few things which will be relevant to that individual, which in the end is going to result into higher chances of you individually getting selected. So even though you are friends in your college, you are at this point of time you are competitors. So don't copy your competitor, be better than them is what I'm going to say here. Okay. Key tools or softwares that you have used previously, make sure that you show these skills on your resume. Okay. Because many chemical engineers do not use software skills at all, because it is not part of their job at all. But many chemical engineers do need a lot of softwares, and chemical engineering has a niche of softwares. It has its own softwares which are typically used for only chemical engineering. For example, Aspen. Most of you might have heard of Aspen. Most of you might have heard of HTRI. Okay. Most of you might have heard of Pro or Pro 2 or something like that. Okay. So these are the softwares which are very common in chemical engineering. So at least having a good idea about this, even though you don't know everything about this software, just knowing that these softwares are out there and you can uh, is good enough. Okay, so make sure that you list these things down and try to improve upon these before you get into an interview. Okay, because these are additional skills, these are not expected out of you, but if you know these are good to have and these are going to make you stand out from the crowd. Okay, so yes, these are the researches that you must do. uh, Also research about what softwares these companies used which are coming to take your interview. So if you know that, you can focus on that software first, make sure that you know everything about it or a lot about it, and then during your interview you can present those skills. Okay, so that is the research that you do before you start building your resume. Okay, just a second. Okay, so this my presentation was uh, built considering that I may have some experienced people in the interview in the session. So that is why this contains information for both the resumes. If it is purely for students, you can remove the experience part. But apart from that, everything else is still same. Okay. So what should be normally present in your resume is a header. Okay. Header is simply your name, your date of birth, your email address. If you have good LinkedIn account developed, in that case, your LinkedIn URL and your phone number. That's it. Okay. Not a lot many things. Try to reduce the clutter as much as possible. Okay, I have seen resume of a great person who has over 15-20 years of experience in the industry on a single page. Okay, on one page. one page is sufficient for explaining 15 years of experience. So why should a student have 3 pages of interview, 3 pages of resume? Okay, so try to be precise, try to keep it to the point, don't go too much far away. Okay, your header should have full name, primary contact number, primary email address, LinkedIn profile link, and date of birth. That's it. Okay, not too much clutter. So that is header. Next is going to be your objective statement, okay, or summary statement. Summary statement is again very important for people who are experienced, and uh, in case of students it is objective because they haven't have any industry experience to summarize, whereas for working individuals it is summary statement. For students it is objective statement. So objective, what is my objective? I want to be something, that is my objective. So your statement should reflect what your values are and what do you want to achieve in the future. It should not be too long, it should be somewhere around 3 to 4 lines at most. Okay, so again let's get a deep dive into that. What are the key parameters that you must have is, first is keywords from company websites. Okay, so every company, almost every company, have their own personal ESS. Okay, employee self services service system, or HRMSS. Okay, HR management systems. So everybody goes onto that website to check their leaves, to mark their leaves, to mark their attendances, to check their pay slips. So when every employee, including your interviewer, is visiting that website very often, they are used to see a few keywords. Okay, for example, if you go to Reliance website or you go to Tata Steel website and you open their website, you will see that there are few things that don't change. Okay, that they are stationary. The content of the page may change. You go to you navigate onto different pages, the content will keep on changing, but some phrases on top will stay same. Okay, so try to identify those things and try to use these keywords into your objectives or summary statements. Okay, what will happen? This will increase your familiarity with the individual who is actually sitting across you to take your interview. Okay, or if someone has received your resume via an email sitting across 2 states somewhere else, and they are reading your resume, so first familiarity in your objective statement itself will like grab their attention. That is the target of writing the objective statement or summary statement. Okay, so keywords from the company that you are trying to apply for, company website. Okay, second is personal passion. What do you value most? Do you want to be the best chemical engineer operations you have seen, or you want to be the best process engineer that you know of, or you want to be the best industry, or you want to contribute to industry 4.0, you want to go into data analytics, you want to anything that is your personal passion in the industry, and again which is relevant to the company that you are applying for. Okay, that should be in your objective or summary. Next is the power words. Power words is something basically, okay, uh, for example, I'm trying to find an example. Let's say you are part of the team who organized heat exchanger design in your college or department competition. Okay, now you can say I was part of the team who organized heat exchanger design event. Okay, or you can say organized an event which involved heat exchanger designing. Okay, now understand the difference between these two. I was part of a team who did this, and I did this. I made sure I organized this entirely. So these three are different statements. One shows that you are just part of the team. There is a possibility that entire rest of the team did the work. You may not. You were just there. Second is I was part of the team and I contributed. Okay, and third is I built that thing out of scratch. Okay, so when I'm saying use power words, I'm saying use such words which is showing that you are able to take on the entire challenge. You are able to build something out of scratch. Okay, so to put it simply, uh, uh, use like Google Power Words. Okay, it is like created, uh, then spearheaded, then led the team, then like things like that. So these are the power words that you were the part of, you were part of that power which was being used to run that entire system. Okay, so use such words. It gives a good impression and it shows your leadership skills. Okay, so power words should be part of your objective or a summary statement. Then keywords for job description. Okay, whatever is the job description that is available, try to use some of its content or the key phrases from its content into your objective statement. Okay, so for example, if the job is for process engineer, in that case your objective may say, I want to be a very good process engineer in XYZ company. Okay, so something like that. It is not necessarily what I just said. Make it very refined. Please do your own research. Entire chat gpt is available for you. Use it, make it refined, make it crisp, make it just 2 3 line or 4 line worth of an objective statement. Because you know how much time interviewer takes on your resume entirely? At most 1 minute. If you get 1 minute, it is too very good. Your resume is outstanding. That is the time you have with your interviewer on your resume. Okay, 1 minute. So if you line 50, if you write like 5 7 10 lines in your objective itself, nobody is going to read that entire objective. If it is just 1 2 3 lines, they might. But if you have 10 lines, they will not, I'll tell you for sure. So make it crisp, make it small, and just 1 2 3 lines. Try to fit all of these things as much as possible. Not necessarily everything is going to fit in that, but as much as possible, use these particular things into your objective statements. Okay, next is your education. Again, this presentation is for both, so like students and professionals, so that is why it has some touch of professional resumes also. So education is very subjective for declaration. I mean, for student phase, it is required to disclose your marks. Okay, because that is all the achievement that you actually have while passing out from the college. If you have other things, great, do that. But for everybody else, like for the professionals and who have good enough experience now, 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 years of experience and more, the education becomes more of irrelevant and your experience becomes relevant. So you can shrink down the education to the marks itself. That's it. But for the students, uh, it is important to showcase your marks. So let's talk about that. It is very subjective selection of education declarations. So particularly grades or class or awards, okay, that you can talk about. For example, I use this one particular statement while telling my HS 12th ka marks. Okay, I write uh, gold medalist across all the departments, arts, science, and commerce, and XYZ percentage. So this is the statement that I use to declare my 12th ka percentage. So basically, what I'm highlighting, I'm not highlighting my marks. I'm highlighting what is my achievement in those marks. Okay, so when you're representing your education, it is not necessary to just provide that dull old table in where you show your first semester this much, second semester this much, and HSC and SSC this much, this much. So yes, that is possible. Everybody's resume is going to have that table. But if you have a way to present your marks which is appealing, then do that. Okay, uh, club it with something else. Club it with something which adds value to your marks. Okay, so if you have chosen any particular optional subject in your engineering which you have excelled at, so write that down into your educational details. write that down into your project achievements. Okay, so these are the things you can try and inculcate. Okay, कुछ नहीं हुआ तो you can add simple that table with grades. That is always acceptable. It is not wrong to put that table, but if possible, if you are building your own resume, build it in such a way that you are presenting more things about you than just a old table. Okay, so try to add value to your marks by using your grades, your class, your awards, your achievements, stuff like that. Okay, you can talk about your marks in two ways. Okay, let's say uh, if I say I had 65%. Okay, so 65 sounds real low. So what you can say is I had 800 marks out of 970. So even though it is 65%, 800 appears big. Okay, it is that key 499 ka thing. Okay, when 499, it is not 500. So we tend to buy things. Similarly, if your percentage is relatively smaller and the absolute marks do look bigger, present that. If your percentage is appearing better, okay, try to look at your marks objectively and present that it is okay. Okay, sometimes this can create a problem for you. I'm not recommending it for everyone, but what you can do is you can also write your percentages. If you are writing marks, great, do that. Write in big bold letters your marks, and then in small this format or small font, just write your percentage also. So if they want to look at your percentage, that is also should be available, but make sure you emphasize on something which is looking better onto your resume, because this is your representation art. Something that is a lot, that gives you a lot of scope for creativity, but still try to find some creativity and present it in a way that emphasizes on your good parts versus your things of improvement. Okay, next is relevant skills. So write down any software exposure that you have, write down any certifications that you have. Now these certifications, I'm not saying about your kabaddi competition or about your throw ball competition in your schools and colleges. No, these certifications should be relevant to your industry. Okay, so for example, a heat exchanger design competition is a good certification, or a course that you did on heat exchanger design, it's a good certification. So choose your certifications carefully and do showcase them in your resume that you have them and you have a general knowledge about these particular concepts. Okay, then Chem Club certification courses are also there. If possible, do try to attend the certification courses and achieve a good exposure to the industry indirectly. Okay. If you already know a few softwares, if you have used them for your final year projects, your third year projects, in that case, try to showcase that knowledge of technical softwares which is available at your hands and you can try it out. Very sorry. So try to present all of that to everybody. Okay, try to show as much exposure as possible with your technical acumen in all formats: software exposure, certifications, and technical software knowledge. Okay, there is one more way with which you can showcase your if possible. Add a table in which you write down the name of the software and your exposure to it in uh, let's say three categories. One is beginner, second is like acquainted, and third is fluent. So something like that. Make use of right words. So like you can write your proficiency: I'm very proficient, I'm intermediate level proficient, I'm moderate level proficient, or I'm extremely beginner in the software. So if you are very familiar with more than one software, you can use this table. You can tabulate four things, out of which you must know two things very well, one thing moderate and one thing beginner. So that gives a good impression for the reader in a way that uh, you have good exposure. Out of 4, you know 2. That is more than 50%. Third is intermediate. So yes, I can improve upon that. So yes, so when you're presenting your data, present in a format which is appealing to the interviewer. Okay. Then experience. So in case of students, it is mostly internships, projects, and industrial projects. Okay. So yes, rest two are also applicable for innovative activities and direct indirect work experience. So I don't know if your college has it. Many colleges have mechanical departments building their cars, and it is an interdepartmental affair. So chemical engineers also work on it, IT engineers also work on it, instrumentation engineers also work on it. So if you have something like that, I'm not saying building cars only is the thing to do. There are many other ways with which innovative things can happen. So if you are part of such innovative activities, like you organize a robotics competition, yes, it's an innovative activity, something like that. So if you are part of innovative activities, do present that in your resume. Do present your role in it, like what exactly were you doing in it. Then internships, yes, internships are a must for student resumes. At least you make sure that you write any internship that you had. If you haven't had any internship, then make sure your projects are very relevant. Okay. Very industry relevant. So again, not all projects are industry relevant. You can present your data. When I'm saying data, you can present your information in the resume in a way that it is industry relevant. Okay. It is not necessary that your project has to be industry relevant. How you are presenting it to in your resume, that should be industry relevant. Okay. So internships and projects are very important. Industrial projects, if available, yes, put them down. Innovative activities, yes, put them down. Direct or indirect work experience. So sometimes these internships are paid. So if it's a paid internship, put that under work experience. Okay. You can put a entirely different section, work experience, and give your designation as industry intern or process intern or whatever your actual designation was there in the company, and present your findings or present your work, whatever you have done there. Okay. So in experience, write down these things, and these are very important things. So why the heading is experience? Because this is the direct industry exposure that you had. Okay. So this is the focal point for all students. When we are interviewing students in general, we are going to definitely going to look into what internships you have done, and you can expect at least one question on this particular section, your internships. So where did you do your internship? What exactly did you learn in the internship? Or what is the project that you completed in the internship? So yes, this is very important, and do put in your resume uh, very well. And particularly again, uh, see, any industry is uh, going to have multiple unit operations. So you don't need to write all the unit operations inside this experience. Write down something which you know well. Okay. So for example, even if you did study your expander compressor, but you don't know the concept very well, and you are afraid that interviewer might ask some deep question and you may not be able to answer, it is not necessary that you need to disclose expander compressor. You can disclose heat exchanger. So there was a cold box heat exchanger. It was a plate and fill type exchanger. This was the detail of that exchanger. This was the study. Like we were seeing minus 200 degrees Celsius into that exchanger. So, yeah, you present that detail which you are comfortable with and which you can present without hesitation. So it is up to you what part of internship you want to present. Okay. So yes, that is experience. Then leadership and extracurricular activities. Here you go, Pratik. You can write anything and everything about your leadership activities and extracurricular activities into your resume as long as you are students. Okay. So when you are writing resume in a student phase, write all workshops that you have attended, workshops which are industry relevant. Okay. Events that you have organized, do write that. Any NGO work or cause that you support, do write that. Any positions that you hold in college student committees or hostel student committees or admin committees, do write that. Okay, these do add value. Any sport achievements that you have, like you were national level frisbee champion, I don't know, some kind of sport achievement if you have, do write that. Any other personal achievements which are not academically uh, uh, relevant, but you have some kind of achievement, you are an artist, your paintings were featured into some magazine. Yes, these are your personal achievements. So these are the things that you can write under leadership and extracurricular activities. Again, based on what kind of activities these are, you can change the name. You can either write leadership activities or extracurricular activities. Extracurricular activities, when you write that, it does not sound great, but when you write leadership activities, people actually go and look into it. Okay, so make sure that the relevant practices are also disclosed under this tab. Okay, next is awards and honors. So if you have got any awards or honors in your academic careers, do represent that. What are the examples? If you have uh, recognitions by accredited authorities, that could be your college, that could be, let's say, state scholarships, that could be some scientific scholarships, that could be some mathematical scholarships. Do write them down. If you have won some awards, do write them down. If you have won some honors for publishing something, for anything, mm, if it's something that stands out, do write them down. Okay. Last is references. Again, it is optional, it is not necessary. It's a two-way sword. Okay, I'll tell you how. So if you have any references in the company that you are writing your resume for, and the relationship of the interviewer and the individual that you are referring to is not good, in that case you might end up getting rejected. Okay, even though your resume might be good, but because of their individual relationship, your resume may get rejected. So in this references tab, try to write your academic references. Okay, so let's say you are part of AICHA body, you are a student chapter. So in that case, you can use the names of professors that were guiding you during this particular recognition. Okay, so do write senior academic references, PhD doctors or IIT professors or stuff like that, who you have interacted with and who know you personally. Okay, if someone asks them, like if someone finds your resume, they read their name, they call them up and ask, This XYZ person has written your name, do you know him?" He should be able to say yes. That is the reference that you actually have. So write such experience, if such references if you have. Otherwise, it's a very optional tab. You can completely remove it. Okay, no problems there. Again, if you are using any names from that company itself, it is a two-way sword. If they have good relationship, your resume might just fly. If they have bad relationship, your resume may just get rejected because of their individual problems. Okay, so that is references. So this was resume for you. We are going to stop today on this much. Do you have any questions until this point of time?
Anyone, any questions?
Any questions?
Anyone?
Anyone?
Okay, then I will
Okay,
take that as a no. So thank you, sir, for giving this great informative insights on interview preparations and different techniques to appear for interview as a working professional. We are going to conduct the next part tomorrow, that is 9th of July, Sunday. and our timings are 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And like we will be covering up later portion on this subject, like resume preparation and further uh,
Uh, I'll give you a general
preparations.
idea what
Okay.
we are going to do.
So we are going to take which portion? Yeah.
We are going to cover group discussions,
Okay.
debates,
Okay.
and an actual interview. We are going
Okay.
to understand uh, how should be the preparation, like what are the general tricks and tips that we can use to actually prepare for the interview, be ready for the interview. As we observe today,
Okay.
many people are comfortable with English, but many people are not comfortable with English. So there will be tricks to be comfortable with English when moving ahead. Uh, and yes, there are practical applications which can be used to actually uh, be better
Prepare
at
for.
communicate.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Sure. So we will directly connect tomorrow, Sunday, at 2 p.m. And I hope we have good strength tomorrow. As we can see, like today we did share to a lot of people, and we did share the meetings to you all. But I hope there might be some issue. But we will find it like tomorrow be an interactive session, which will help you a lot to appear for interview as a good working professional, and prepare and have a good preparation from your side. So we have shared a feedback form for the this session. If you like this session very well, you can give us your valuable feedback on this feedback form. And yes, we have shared the timings for tomorrow's sessions as well. In the morning also, we'll be sharing you the same link for tomorrow's session. So I hope you will be finding this sessions most interactive. And talking about Chem Club, yes, we are preparing chemical engineers in the domain of designing process engineering. So we are upskilling them in the domain of process engineering, simulation modeling using the softwares, and they sim these programs very well. So if any of you are preparing for any informations, uh, sorry, you are preparing for any programs, then also you can directly contact us. Hopefully, we will be providing you a good insights on that too. So, concluding my speech, I would thank again our uh, today's trainer, and we hope you all join tomorrow as well. Thank you, sir, and yeah, to everyone, good night.
Thank you everyone for your Saturday evening in particular. Have a great
Yes,
evening.
sir.
Bye bye.
Uh, okay, then here we are concluding this session. Thank you all.